Ladies and gentlemen, hello, good afternoon, good New Year's morning, whenever you're listening to this, and welcome to this week's episode of Changing the Questions. My name is Paul LaPorte. Joining me today, my special guest hosts, good friends of mine, independent wrestlers out of the In-Your-Face Wrestling promotion, as well as others. Do you guys are we doing kayfabe names, or are we doing...
I'm cool with either or.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Okay, well, I guess I'll do both. Across from me, we have my friend Scott, who wrestles by the name of CJ Scott on the independent scene.
Hello.
And to my left, I have Evan, who works under the name of Damon Ravage.
Wow.
David Ravage.
I feel the love.
We're starting off pretty good here.
This is the morning after New Year's, mind you. So keep that in mind.
How you doing, podcast people?
And I thought that this would be a good time to do a few different episodes, since I'm on the road right now, dedicated to kind of the best ofs, or year in review things, or yearly based subjects. So we're going to start things off today with who the best wrestler in 2015 was on the independent circuit. Now, we had some discussion about this beforehand. We're qualifying an independent wrestler as a wrestler who is not tied to one specific company via a contract. So that basically eliminates anybody in WWE. I guess if you want to name Jerry Lawler as your best independent worker, you can. That eliminates most of the people in TNA. Jay Lethal and Ring of Honor would be out. Anybody in New Japan is probably out. Anybody in AAA is probably out. So that's just a general guideline, and we're going to go from there. So that's why this is... If this was under a different set of rules, I think all of our answers might be a little bit different, but we're going to go under this set of rules. I'm going to start with you, Scott. Who do you think was the best independent wrestler in 2015?
Well, for me, you probably, it's going to maybe even sound cliche, but I'm probably leaning toward AJ Styles, when he's kind of on the fence as to whether or not he's allowed or not.
Yeah, I think he still is considered, because he does bookings in lots of independent places, and those places, from what I understand, don't need to check with New Japan. They don't need to check with Ring of Honor. So I think he qualifies. So perfectly valid. Go on.
Oh, well, just the fact that he's able at this point in his career to just basically do whatever he wants. He's very sound in the ring, and he's got the intangibles. Mm-hmm. They're very hard to explain. He's very entertaining. He knows his psychology very well. And there goes the beep in the background.
That's okay. More food.
Yay!
Woo!
But yeah, for me, AJ is... He travels a lot. He's... As you mentioned in one of the previous episodes, he's a guy who can, at this point in his career, when WWE says, we really want to sign you, go, no, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, and AJ Styles is, like, when I was trying to decide who I wanted to pick for this, it's almost like AJ is, like, a level above that, because it's just like, it's him.
I know.
Because he's really, like, you're talking in top wrestlers, period, in the world. At that point, you're talking AJ Styles. So he is, like, an absolute, almost a layup for that. But he needs to be mentioned, though. Like, he needs to be mentioned.
Absolutely.
Yes,
if I had to pick someone underneath him, I think Kyle O'Reilly's very real.
Okay.
He's a tag team partner of a man who trained me in professional wrestling,
yes.
Bobby Fish, and he's busting out. I like his matches a whole lot. He's very, very technically sound. He can go at just about any style of wrestling, and he's made a name for himself everywhere.
Yeah, he's had a big year in New Japan, done well in Ring of Honor, and he's very well known on the independent scene. I'm interested to see. It seems like they are breaking Kyle a little bit away and trying to get him more singles work, it seems, which I think is good for him. It's good for him and Bobby. They're a very good tag team, but I think both of those guys have a big upside as singles wrestlers. So I'd be interested to see what their 2016 is going to look like. Is it going to be more Red Dragon, or is it going to be more working?
It seems to depend on where they're working.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there was the bit they were doing in Ring of Honor where he was... it looked like they were going to put him back together with Adam Cole, and then they did the swerve. But clearly in New Japan, they're sticking together.
Yeah. Well, New Japan tag team wrestling is generally more... there's more space for tag team wrestlers in New Japan in general than I think in the United States. So I think that, like you said, if those two are going over... And it seems like there's less spot on the card for singles wrestlers. You know, those spots are kind of filled up, but tag teams, it's like, we're always looking for something new. And then with New Japan introducing the never open weight 6-man tag team championship at Wrestle Kingdom, that could lead to some other combinations as well. But both of those are really solid picks. Evan, I'm interested to see who you've got on the list.
Well, I had to do a little bit of thinking about this because my original choice was going to be Jay Lethal, but after we had come to the conclusion that people with exclusive contracts aren't really going to be involved, it took me a minute of deliberation, but I came to Mr. Prince Puma himself, Ricochet.
Very good.
Yeah, he was another one on my short list. Absolutely. Yeah.
His
feel free to elaborate on that further because we can talk about Ricochet for a while.
I almost feel like I don't need to, but I'm going to anyway.
Right. You don't need to, but
his physical ability speaks for itself. You can see what he can do in the ring. He can fly. He can hit. He can throw. He can do just about anything he needs to. He's very hot right now. You can see him everywhere. He's
Absolutely.
In Lucha Underground. He was their first champion.
Yeah, he was their first champion.
He was their first champion
pretty much the whole season.
The entire season, except for spoiler alert, I guess the final episode
for matches that happened, almost a year ago.
I know, but he lost to Mil Muertes, I do believe.
Yes,
and he's been in control. You can see him in PWG. You can see him in all the big companies in both this country and I'd imagine like Canada and maybe even like.
Well, he's also working in New Japan as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
Makes sense.
He's in the 4-way match for the junior heavyweight tag team titles
against
him and Matt Sydal,
and the Bucks,
Red Dragons, Young Bucks, and
Roppongi Vice, right?
Yeah, Roppongi Vice. Or
no,
are they Roppongi Vice now? I'm trying to remember because they were Forever Hooligans. Now they're Roppongi Vice. Yeah, you're right.
That's because it's
Rocky
Trent.
Romero, Trent. Yeah,
Trent, right.
You're right. Yes. So yeah, they're in that, and yeah, he's been making more of a push into Japan now. This is like his second or third gig for New Japan, and I think that's only going to go up to this year. I think that they're probably going to start working him into the singles light heavy or junior heavyweight title scene against Kenny Omega. They're probably going to meet up at some point in the future, and that's going to be something.
I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I completely agree. Ricochet is somebody who his work it borders on like literally physically unreal. Some of the things he can do, and then also he has a great look to him. And it's funny because he's somebody who he started off as like Helios in Chikara, I think. But he started off under a mask, really kind of scrawny, stringy guy, and then like grew into this superhuman Hulk-like body, and He's so good, and the thing about Puma is like I don't know if he's ever gonna make it to WWE if he even wants to.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like when we were discussing with AJ.
I feel like if he felt the need to, he definitely could. But if he doesn't want to, then he doesn't.
I think the only
he will go as far as he wants to.
I think the only thing that Ricochet needs to work on at this point is his mic skills.
Which is understandable.
His promos just I don't think they're there yet. His tone of voice, like he's a very soft spoken guy. He has a very soft tone of voice. I mean, when he's Prince Puma, it doesn't matter because he doesn't say a word. Who cares? And that's a brilliant way to book the guy in Lucha Underground. But if he has to do any sort of mic work, I think that's one of those things where he'll show up at the Performance Center if he was to get a tryout or something like that, and they go, "Oh, well, this guy's amazing in this." But then we've also seen in WWE that a lot of those guys who can do those incredible things, they chop their moveset in half, basically.
Yeah,
they did the same thing with Neville, more or less. There's things that guy can do that people haven't seen if you watch the Independents that would still amaze you, despite the fact that you've seen so much from him. So that's like. It's not really a worry, but I just think that might be the thing that keeps a guy like that who really deserves to be at that level from actually getting there. Mm-hmm. For me, my pick on this one, and I thought there's actually a lot of names that could have gone into here. Obviously, you guys mentioned AJ Styles, you mentioned Ricochet. Even just for like the 2 months he's been back on the independent scene, you can almost make a case for Sami Callihan too, because that guy has been... He wrestles like 8 times a week or something. I swear he's just been on like every goddamn card I've seen. So you could almost make a case for that. But the guy who I'm naming for the 2015 Best Worker of the Year, and this one really was more like a thing of who I kind of judged it as who kind of like improved the most, or who had the biggest, like, started 2015 here, ended 2015 up here. My pick is Dalton Castle. I
know Dalton.
Yeah, I've Dalton, obviously from this area, so maybe it's a little bit of like a hometown thing, you know. Like I'm rooting for him a little more because he kind of like he started out at like 2CW in that group of independents, and now he's getting his shake in Ring of Honor. But the reason that I picked him is because I think right now on the independent scene, beyond your guys like AJ Styles who are already established, I think Dalton Castle has the best chance of making a big name for himself on a big stage more so than anybody else, for the simple fact that his charisma, his personality, his character are at a level that very, very few people on the independent scene can match.
Yeah.
And his in-ring work is very good. It's not the best. It's not, you can definitely name people like Prince Puma, people who could probably do more than him physically in the ring, but he can do a lot. And he has that personality to balance it. I think he, more than anybody else on the independent scene, is the biggest total package. We've seen that he's broken out in Ring of Honor. He's gotten very popular, and that's, for him to do that in Ring of Honor is more impressive because Ring of Honor, that's a crowd that tends to be less. They're not into the bullshit a lot of times. They're more interested in just what you can do in the ring. And then this guy shows up and makes a human couch out of two young men, and the place goes bananas. I mean, I saw that first when he made, it wasn't like his official Ring of Honor debut because he did like the prospect tournament.
Was in a tournament.
Yeah.
But when he came out for against Jay Lethal for the television title, and just that entrance he got and the ovation he got and the way he got the crowd behind him just instantly made me think it's like I just looked at him and went like, wow, this guy can really be something. And he's also somebody who despite the fact that that's a really good character and I love that character, he has done other characters on the independent scene. He can do more than one thing.
Right.
He wrestles in Chikara as Ashley Remington, the yacht captain. And and it's a completely different style of character, to the point when I saw Ashley Remington came out, I went, hey, that guy looks familiar. Like, I didn't immediately know it was him. So just the fact that he can mix it up, he could do the silly stuff. I think he could get serious. I'd be very interested to see like how he would do as a heel. I think he is somebody that in 5 years from now, I don't think he's going to be on the independent scene. Somebody is going to have snatched him up. Whether he's in NXT or on the main roster, whether he's been signed exclusively to New Japan or to Ring of Honor to somewhere, I don't think, this time, maybe not even this time next year, where he's going to be on this list, because I don't think he's going to meet the qualifications. But that's my pick for
it's pretty good
for 2015 indie wrestler.
I think part of me didn't even consider him because I'm kind of like weeding out people that I know because I don't want to go in there with the bias.
Yeah, I was the same way, but I just looked at him and was like, every time I saw him somewhere, I was like, oh, I'm interested in seeing that,
Yeah. I agree. Dalton's a very talented worker, and he's a hell of a guy too.
Absolutely.
I've been in locker rooms with him before, and I've been on shows with him, and even the character he's playing now in Ring of Honor, it's not the same character he was playing back when I was working on shows with him, when he was the party peacock, and he had the blazer with the tassels on, and
his peacock hat type thing.
And I got my son running around doing Dalton Castle.
Who do we want to talk about for other honorable mentions? I know we mentioned a few names.
I mentioned Kyle. I got to mention Bobby.
Yes,
Bobby.
Sir. Yeah, absolutely.
Bobby Fish. Like I said, there's always going to be that bias because he trained me in wrestling. Along with JP Black as well. I don't want people to think that I'm just gonna. No, Bobby Fish trained me, and then the hell with the guy who did most of my training. No, Bobby is always his style, because of the fact that he actually trains real MMA as well, lends itself very well to the style he works in the ring, looking more snug and realistic. Less flashy per se, but he's still got those moments of flashy. And it's I got to mention him. Ocean. Got to mention Bobby Ocean.
Bobby
as well.
Ocean.
Yeah. But Bobby
man.
Ocean's definitely. He's somebody that people, if you're listening to this and you're not from the New York area, you may still not know about. But
New England area.
Yeah,
he's much more than New England.
Northeast.
Yep.
But if you don't know about him, I guess he Did he have something in TNA?
He tried Gut Check.
That's right.
Yeah,
he
He
did
did
gut
gut
a
check.
TNA gut check.
He's done some of the Ring of Honor camps.
Yeah.
What else?
He's really somebody who I really wish could travel a lot more because I feel like he would break out a lot more.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's sort of his own personal decision to not go out as far as he could. But if he were to try,
Well, I know what that's like. So.
yeah, I know. If he were to try,
That's why none of you
I
heard of
think
me.
he would be much better.
Yeah, well, he would get more opportunities
That's-
and maybe elevate to that next level because it is tough. Like it's tough to get looked at by a bigger promotion if you're only in one place. Like you just got to hope that somebody from that area is there that can vouch for you or whatever and cover you.
And unfortunately, the Northeast up here is a very, very packed area of very talented guys. So it's really hard to get noticed, even if you are incredibly talented. Because you got Bobby, but he's got to compete with guys like Mike Bennett, who's also from the area, and Donovan Dijak is from this area.
Yeah, Matt Cross from the area too. Yeah, there's a lot of people, and like you said, and not only is there a lot of people from this area, but everybody is willing to migrate up here,
Right.
Because we have New York City, we have Boston. There's just Philadelphia. There's just so many people that are here. That it's just being from here. There's a lot of talent from here, but everybody is willing to come in,
Right.
and work for a reasonable price too. So it's very, very congested. But yeah, Bobby Ocean is definitely a good name. Evan, how about you anymore?
I would go Adam Cole. He's had a pretty good year.
Except for the injury, but
Yeah. Well, let's not talk about that. I really don't have any other names to really elaborate on.
Okay.
Pretty much hit everybody that I'd think of.
Okay. Some honorable mentions for me. I'm gonna go. We've been mentioning a lot of male workers. I'm gonna mention Kimberly. I'm gonna mention Jessica Havoc. Both two who have done a lot. Kimberly, the current Chikara Grand Champion. The first female Chikara Grand Champion, who has really made a name for herself lately. Jessica Havoc, obviously another name who worked in TNA but isn't exclusive to them. I'm not sure she even works for them anymore. I don't think, but she's another one who has made a lot of waves on the independent wrestling scene. And honestly, there's just been a lot of women in 2015. Like I feel like women's wrestling, not just women's wrestling as women against each other, but independent promotions this year seemingly have been willing to do a lot more intergender matches and work women into their main roster as opposed to having like a separate segmented off women's division. And a lot of women have been taking advantage of that. You have Candice LeRae, Veda Scott, Heidi Lovelace, who I love, is fantastic, and I think she's going to have a big 2016. So those are a lot of good mentions. Also staying in that Chikara vein, Shinron is another one of those guys who just does stuff that I've literally never seen before in my life. I haven't seen him too much outside of Chikara. Chikara doesn't exclusively sign anybody, so I think he still fits that independent worker mold. He might be working under a different name that I'm not aware of. And then there's like a lot of Lucha Underground guys are kind of disqualified. At least all the AAA guys.
Right.
But if you're talking out of there, I think it's been a good year for Shane Strickland, who's Killshot. He works with CZW a lot, and just getting that exposure on a national television scale is really good for him. Same thing with Willie Mack.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
I'd also like to give a special shout out to Grado, who, for people who don't know who Grado is, if you're familiar with Tough Enough and with Breaking Ground, imagine ZZ from there if he actually was willing to work hard. Grado was this guy who just kind of started off as a goof and just coming out to Like a Prayer by Madonna, and it was just like he was basically an entrance, and he has worked very, very hard at kind of improving everything all around. He's gotten in better shape. Recently won the Insane Championship Wrestling belt from Drew Galloway in Scotland, which if you've seen the end of that match, it's like 4,000 people losing their minds for a win like that. So anybody who can kind of, with a non-conventional skill set and body type, get that kind of a reaction out of people, out of that big of a crowd that you can argue he drew because he was one of the bigger names on that card. I think he deserves an honorable mention in that as well.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of these people we're going to be talking more about in 2016, although some of them may not qualify for this list anymore.
Fair enough.
All right, well, if if we're all good, we've all given our honorable mentions, I think we're going to wrap up this episode.
Okay.
If you like what you've heard, please be sure to check us out. You can send us an email, changingthequestions@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Twitter at changingtheqs, which is at changingtheqs. You can also look us up on Facebook. Check out our YouTube page. If you're listening to this on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Helps us out a lot. If you're listening to this on iTunes, give us a nice 5-star review. Say a couple nice words about us. And if people want to find out more about you guys and what you do, how can they do that?
Well, I'm on Twitter at the Wolf CJ Scott, although I don't post too often. So if you do follow me, don't expect a lot.
Setting that bar high.
Yep.
Good.
You can find me on Twitter at SavageRavage13. And I also have a Facebook page, which I'm a lot more active on. You can just look me up at the Savage Damon Ravage official fan page.
Yeah, the Wolf CJ Scott on Facebook as well. You can try and find me there. Again, I don't post a whole lot. I'm not big social media, so...
Also, maybe another reason why you've never heard of him.
Could have something to do with it.
And when are you guys set to be, or when's your next card?
2 weeks from, well, actually, we don't know when this is going to drop.
This
So
will probably be going up, let's see, what is today? Today is Friday. This will be going up Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah,
All right.
so we'll see.
Well, the January 16th is our next show for In Your Face Wrestling. That'll be at the Polish Community Center in Albany, New York. I don't actually know what I'm doing yet. How about you?
I have no idea. I hope I'm defending my title.
Yes, he has a championship, so
That's right.
I'm going to assume he's defending it. And that's the next show that we got. We'll have one again in March. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but that'll be our big show for the year, Memories, Moments, and Mayhem. We've already announced Hardcore Holly and Scott Norton.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you soon with another episode of Changing the Questions. Take care.